557. We're going to call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to remind everybody that we are live streaming the board meeting tonight, so welcome those who are both in the room and who are joining us via the web. So the first item on the agenda is to make a motion, accept a motion for consent agenda items. I have a motion by Earl. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Travis. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0, Debbie. The next item is, would like to ask if there's anybody present who would like to speak with to any item that is not on the agenda or any other topic. Hearing none, we'll move on to old business. We have several Neola policies for approval.
Yes, I would like to make a recommendation that the board approve A on your agenda, with the exception of let's table 4216, 3216, and 1216. If you're fine with that, we'll table those three and recommend approval of the remaining list. And then I would ask that the board take under advisement first reading, which is item number 6 on your agenda, but they're tied together.
Okay.
To just take those under advisement for first reading tonight.
Okay. So if we could, let's take this in a couple of different sections. First, if I could have a motion to table those three policies, 4216, 3216, and 1216. I have a motion by Tony. I have a second by Travis. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor? 7-0. And then, so the other policies that were listed for approval under Section A of the agenda, do I have a motion to approve those policies?
So moved.
I have a motion by Pat. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Tony. Any discussion? All of those in favor? 7-0. And then under, as Jim stated, under 6A down below, these are a first reading, so there is no action to be taken on those policies. So then we'll go back up under 5B, students. Nikki, I think you have something on student exit numbers.
I do. So I have two pieces of data I wanted to follow up and bring to you that we've talked about previously. One is our student exit survey. This is new for us. So our count day numbers are approximately 100 students lost from the difference of last year to this year total. So we wanted to make sure that we were being very thorough and looking into why that might be, and if there are things that we can work on to improve, things we can work on to look at processes, or know where some strengths were. So we shared exit surveys with each family who has left us and asked for some feedback. We did not receive all of those back, but we had a pretty good response rate for the first time doing it. And we reached out by phone for anyone who didn't return to us and did it by phone call. So I wanted to share with you what we found out and a summary of that information. And then I do have individual responses, and I took those and tabulated these results. But I would mention, this data won't match up completely with what you see on the corporation transfer report we'll get in November, because this is based on who responded to us. So we had some who aren't captured here. At the high school, 9 responded back, middle school 16, Brush Creek 31, NVE 37, Hayden 9, Sand Creek 11, Graham Creek 9, and Scipio 10. Those who filled out the form, we really got a depth of information. They shared with us some strengths, they shared with us weaknesses, and then on a Likert scale of 1 to 10, rated some areas. So moving forward, we are going to ask to use the exit form anytime a student withdraws. And we really felt like people were more candid on that form than they were even with the phone call in person. So that's going to be a process that we put in place and continue to do. So based on where that is right now, you can see at the bottom, that's percentage by category, that's not number of students. So of those who left us, 44% of those students moved out of county. And these are students who truly moved out of county. They're not just attending school outside of the county. Their family, for various list of reasons, moved out of Jennings County. And you can see that is the most significant group. The next most significant group was withdrew to another school. Of these, of that 31%, only a small handful reported to us that it was another public school. There mostly were to a private school, the vast majority being the new school that was in town for this year, which is Columbus Christian. They cited as their reasons, religious reasons and smaller school size. That's what people responded on that portion. We did have just about 15% that responded to us that actually transferred within county in our own schools, but they gave us information about the school they left, which was helpful. And then the others were handfuls of small reasons, such as 3%, it's actually a total of 6 students who moved to an online program. They'd previously been online, and we didn't offer that program any longer. They went with an online programming. 1% to homeschool, 1% to high school equivalency exam. At the high school level, those students, most of them were reporting that they wanted to work to help their family full-time, so that's why they chose that path. Some 2% for medical reasons, and 1% noted concerns with fears. So that was just a quick summary, and again, that's just of who responded to us. So it won't match the corporation transfer report, you know, dollar to dollar, match to match, but it was really great information that we're now gonna have a discussion with at our admin team level and dig into some of those facts and some of those comment sections that they shared with us.
When they talk about things like problem with their peers or moving to another school, do they give specifics, or is it just like click?
There were 3 parents and 2 of them did. Okay, then I'll move on to the next item.
Sure, summer school days.
Yes. So Todd Ebbinger and I are actually going to present this one together, and Seth has the slides to pull up for us. We had robust summer school programming this summer. We've really been working hard to try to help fill in gaps that were created for students during the pandemic. And so we had programming on 3 different paths, and we're going to talk about those. So we had our traditional summer school at the high school. That's a credit recovery, and we get most of that funded out of the state summer school grant every year. Then we offered an elementary reading tutoring program. So for our K through 5 students, we offered them 16 sessions to come to school during the summer and get tutoring with a teacher or a paraprofessional that were trained in Barton and other reading interventions. We paid for that through our ESSER 2 and 3 grants. And then finally, we offered extended school year through special programs for students. So our elementary summer tutoring program, these are a number of students who were enrolled. It was a total of 167 across the grades. Then we counted up the number of students who attended at least 50% of those sessions. So you can see that 68%, almost 70% attended at least 50% of the sessions. For our first time ever trying this program and that we did not provide transportation, we were pleased with that number. We would have liked to seen it be higher, but we only had a handful of total no-shows, so we were pleased with that. We did see that the gains were more significant for students 2nd grade and above. Majority of the students, though, showed some type of gains in reading. The ones who attended at least 50% of the sessions showed some type of gain, or they remained the same, which is also important because typically what happens in elementary is students fall back multiple levels during the summer. Twice the amount of time they're gone, they lose double that over the summer in instruction. That's called a summer slide. And we were able to see most of the students who participated either stayed at their same rate and did not lose ground, or they gained in one of the 3 areas we looked at. And if you turn the slide, it shows some of those areas we looked at. So you see here the names have been removed, the number of sessions a student attended, what their BAS or benchmark reading level is was it the May, and then we use the same test to see where they were when they returned to us in August after their 16 sessions over the summer. We also looked at STAR reading scale score, or if they moved along in the Barton reading program. So that's just one sample of 1 grade, a little snapshot to show you some of the data that we tracked individually. At the high school level, we had 46 students who attended summer school this summer, and combined, they completed 56 courses that they earned credit for. So we had a good response rate of students who participated and earned credit to help them along to graduation. We used the Edgenuity program and then teacher and paraprofessional support. And that's a half-day program throughout the summer. That number is comparable to other summers and years for participation. Then Mr. Ettinger, you want to share?
So with our extended school year, our real focus is to prevent that summer slide. So we know a lot of our kiddos, they're working on goals below grade level. So we look at what goals are in their IEP, if it's reading, if it's behavior, writing, math, and then we would plan instruction for that during summer instruction. We had 9 teachers. One of our SLPs also provided speech throughout the summer. 67 total kids attended extended school year. We provided transportation for 16 of those kids to North Vernon Elementary. And then the sessions ranged over the summer for some of our kiddos, it was only 5. It was right before school started. They might have been transitioning from one of our self-contained programs to a gen ed program. And we wanted them to get experience in that gen ed classroom, meet that teacher, so that they were comfortable when school started. And then it ranged all the way to 2 per week or 18 sessions over summer break. We did have a big emphasis on reading intervention. So 58 of those 67 students did receive reading support through summer. 55 of them we could collect the data for. 3 of them moved before school started. Out of the 55, 29 of them did make progress from their May star reading score to their August star reading score, which was about 52%. 12% stayed the same, and then we did have a few kiddos that did not make progress, but overall we had about 2/3 of our students made progress or stayed the same over summer break. Our average growth was 0.22 grade equivalent on star reading, which is about 2 months growth, and that ranged from 1.5. We did have a kid progress 1.5 grade equivalent. Now that end of the year score might have been skewed. He may not have did their best effort, but it did show 1.5 grade equivalent growth. We actually saw the K through 3 students made a growth of 0.4 grade equivalent, and our 4 through 6 students actually had a decline. They lost 0.15 grade equivalent growth. And then what was reported to us was 9 out of those 19 students that did not make growth or did not stay the same did miss 1 or more sessions, actually more than 1 session. So we gave them that 1 session kind of break, but then if they missed more than 1 session, we started tracking that. And then our 4 to 6 grade, our teachers reported that they had a lack of motivation. They wanted not to be in school over summer break, and they were starting to see that they were, some of our sessions were almost 2 hours. So when we were keeping them there for 2 hours, by the time it was about an hour and a half, they were losing interest, and we were having a hard time keeping their motivation.
So we have our students who attended, we know their names, where the schools they're in, and we see our middle of the year data. We're going to glance at this data again and see if it helps them to grow any more during the year by not having that summer slide. So it's something we're going to keep an eye on to make sure that our summer intervention programs are operating at an optimum level, or things that we can learn to improve upon, that we're keeping that data. So just wanted to share that with you tonight.
And this was the program where they were allowed to pick their own times and
Yes, as much as possible,
16 sessions.
we allow the parents the flexibility to try to schedule when it worked for their family.
This item was an inform item. Does anybody have any additional questions or conversation? No? Then we'll move on down the agenda. It looks like under programs, we have PACE, Alternative Ed.
Okay, this is what we were calling our PACE program, is our Panther Alternative Classroom Environment. We have several alternative education environments now currently housed within our school. This is looking at a placement outside of the regular school. Seth, you can go ahead. The point of PACE, it's providing an alternative to expulsion to keep our students on pace with their education. We see, some students when they are expelled, they aren't going on with their education. We want to make sure we're giving them that option. It aligns with our safety plan, and it provides academic and behavioral support so we can help eliminate, hopefully repeat, expulsions for these students. It's for grades 7 through 12 right now. It is the alternative to an expulsion. And the enrollment, this is the state requirement for anybody that's getting alternative education funding. Maximum of 15 for a teacher. If there's an assistant in the room, they can add 5 more. And then it's going to be located in one of the classrooms in our education building, JCEC. It's utilizing that program, Edgenuity, like we used for summer school, where the students can work at their own pace. They can get some individualized instruction, and they can work through as many credits as they're motivated to get. We monitor their progress. We can see daily their session logs. We can see when they're idle. We can see the percentage and how far along they've come, so we can monitor the credits that they're gaining at their high school. It is offering the opportunity for more individualized assistance because they're each working on their own class. The teacher can go around and really hone in on the skills that they maybe are lacking in, or if it's the motivation, how can we get them motivated? They will all have alternative education goals. Each student will develop an individual service plan. It will address the needs. It'll address why they got expelled. And then as they start meeting their goals, we will update those. And if new needs arise, we can always write new goals as well. They will be assigned either full days or half days. And then because this is a new program off-site, we definitely want to collect some data to see how it works and if it is worth continuing. Collecting about their student successes, how many students are enrolled at each time, how many credits they're earning while they're in there. Are they meeting their ISP goals? Are they meeting the goals, or are we continuing to kind of spin our wheels with that kid? And then how many students are able to go from this program and successfully reintegrate back into that general education population in their building, and hopefully no more expulsions for them. Are there any questions?
What determines whether they go a half a day or a full day?
It would be based on student need, so their own individual situation. Some kids we know struggle with full days, and maybe they'd be sitting in a room the full day. Now they would still have a full day's schedule. They would be expected, if they are not attending full days, to continue to work at home.
There could be a lot of factors there, Travis. It could be their behavioral plan. It could be if there's have a special education plan, individualized education plan. It could be a parent agreement. There would be a variable for every child.
Any idea of costs?
At this point, we are looking at not hiring a new teacher. We're going to use a current teacher. You'll see later on in the agenda is looking at hiring a para to help support that sort of timeshare between them, so the teacher could be over there monitoring things at times, but could also still attend to some of their other duties and switch on and off with the para. So really the only cost at this time is just the additional para. And I'm going to be working on putting together all of the information for alternative education funding. There's an application to add a new program. So if this is successful and we continue on, then more funding will be coming from an alternative education grant.
Now, does this replace?
It does not. This is an addition.
For a while, have we?
We have not had an off-site.
Yeah.
Just to give you some numbers from last year, we had 44 students recommended for expulsion last year. We have an on-site at the high school and at the middle school. Most of those students work at the high school. That classroom also runs our in-school suspension. So that's a lot of students coming and going to go into one room and to provide that individualized need, that behavioral need that's gotten them into being recommended for expulsion.
And Pat, the other factor is that sometimes children don't fit it's like a round peg in a square hole of being in the gen ed program at your high school. And being off-site makes that feel like I'm not really going to that school where I'm the round peg in the square hole. It's like a fresh new start, what it is.
So you've got, we have it at the middle school.
They have kind of the similar program.
On-site
They have
at
an
the middle
on-site,
school
yes.
and they have it at the high school.
Yes.
7th through 12th. How's that
Yes.
set up now? The 7th graders in with seniors and how's that?
They would be placed strategically, so they're in the room, but right now, we're looking at 3 students, all of them being high school.
But we
The
have done
middle-
that previously, and that's where it comes in also sometimes scheduling. So sometimes that's where the half-days come into play. So there's many different ways that we've done that in the past, but we have had programs that were 7 through 12 span, and between scheduling and staffing and how we have the students working.
Yeah.
And they don't interact very much during the day. I mean, it's regimented, there's strict rules. They don't have headphones in, and they're not on their telephones, and they're not walking around talking and playing cards and things. It's
There's
strict.
not passing periods, there's
Right.
not all of those things that you would have in a
Right, yeah, I
traditional
was
setting.
just wondering about, the mixing of between the 7th grade and a higher level.
And that's where sometimes the supervision
Normally we
comes
have
in,
a-
is making sure we have really good supervision in there. And there is some loss of privileges happening more when you're in an off-site.
And if it were to grow to be big enough to say 20, you might be able to divide them out in 10
Absolutely.
and 10 and have younger children in another room across the hall or next door. It gets down to supervision, but you'd want to see how it grows, and then they would be back to the table regarding that growth and need for additional staff.
But right now, we've got one teacher at the middle school or an aide that has it.
The middle school one, they have 2 separate rooms. They have their in-school suspension, and then they have their out-of-school suspension in a separate room, but it's ran alongside with another classroom. It's in one of our self-contained classrooms. So they're doing double duty. The same thing at the high school, they're doing double duty in that classroom. There are students that are in there that are not on an expulsion.
Those expulsion numbers, I know COVID kind of skewed everything there.
Yeah.
And
Last year was
We're
very
still not
high.
back to what,
In September, we're currently sitting at 7 students recommended for expulsion already.
So although this program has a different name, we have had a similar program in the past, actually housed at that same building. I think 5 years ago, maybe 6 at this point, we had the program. And now as we've gotten back past COVID, we really see some advantages of having the availability of an off-site program for students who fit that need and it being available. So we'd like to do this as a pilot, and we would be asking only for the addition of the para for this school year. And if at any point the program grows or we'll bring data back, we would ask to hire before we did any additional staff, and we'll bring back data on how the program performs for the kids this year and share that with you after we get started on the pilot with it.
We did have that program that was similar, the restarters.
restart also.
And do we know why that went away?
At the time, there
What
were
was the
some
problem?
other needs for the building at the time. It was before, I think it was between the transition of ELC just stopped. We were moving it to adult ed. We weren't sure on the amount of space. There's a list of different reasons I was able to collect in the past of why it just seemed like a good time to move back. But we definitely see the need based on current student needs to have this opportunity.
You are so lucky to have that facility.
It's beautiful.
It's so well taken care of and so clean, and
Yeah.
every school district would only love to beg to have a place like what you've created and established over there. So you have the perfect place, and the timing's right. You should go for it.
So the para will be the extra staff that will pull 1 teacher, did you say go over there? So where will that teacher come from, and what need do we not have somewhere else?
So it's special education department at the high school, so we will realign some caseloads. We will have that para that we're adding kind of switch in and out with some other staff within the department to make sure that we don't shortchange anyone's services they currently already have. And we feel like we can fit it in with what we have all together and make the entire program work if we have the addition of that para. And Mandy's going to work with the high school team next week to make sure that we try to balance that as equally as possible.
I remember when we started that, you guys went in and painted and fixed the place up, and we had a tour at the school board, and it was really nice, and we had a principal there and a secretary, and I think Mike Green ended up there, and it was really successful, and it was a really good deal.
And Dustin Benz, he's very supportive of alternative ed and said that he would be happy and excited to have the kids in his building.
Again, that item was an inform item. The vote or approval for the additional para happens a little bit further down in the agenda. So we'll move on to the next, and that's the high ability program. Nikki?
Yes, so high ability program, I wanted to share with you where we're at on high ability program. It's been a little bit since we've had an update. And then at some point here in the near future, we'll talk about staffing for the high ability program. Our former high ability coordinator left in May, so we need to look at how we're going to hold that role in the future. So starting with just some information this evening on the program in general. So we have 368 students currently identified for high ability in the district. That's 9% of our students. The state recommends 8 to 10% of students in your population be identified, so we're right in line with what is expected. The way that we identify students is through a screener in kindergarten, 2nd grade, or 6th grade, and then any grade, their parent or a school staff member who sees characteristics of high ability can recommend them for screening. So we can screen any child. They have an assessment portfolio that we use for identification, COGAT assessment scores, that's an aptitude ability test, SAGE's inventory that has some teacher input on that portion, and then standardized and formative assessment scores. So we put all that together for a data picture to see if a kid qualifies. They can be identified in math, in reading only, in both of those combined, and then we have also identified students in our arts programs in the past and provided support. Programming at our elementaries, currently there is classroom differentiation. So if a student's identified as high ability, their classroom teacher provides them some extra or challenging opportunities within the classroom. We also try to cluster the kids with a partner when possible. So if they're doing group work, they have a buddy who's also in high ability that might do that challenging work together. And then we do offer small group pull-out services once a week at the elementary for our high ability kids. They focus on literacy. We do a lot of STEM projects. We are just now ordering brand new kits from when Jennifer Lehman went to the National STEM Conference. They recommended a group called Central Creativity. They send us complete kits in a little baggie for our high ability kids to use during high ability lessons with STEM materials. We use some programming and robots with Ozobots, Lego labs, and other activities. And then we have level challenges within the room. A lot of teachers have reading goals, math fact challenges, and use IXL programming for that. At the middle school level, our high ability students are grouped together in advanced level classes for some challenging opportunities with their curriculum. We offer electives with Project Lead the Way at the middle school. Their guidance department offers specific support for our students with high ability counseling needs. And then there's high school credit opportunities. Students at the middle school have 5 opportunities that they could sign up for high school credit if they would like to do so at the middle school level. And then at our high school level, we are very proud to be able to say we are one of the high schools in the state that is a college core program, meaning that our students can choose to take their whole first full year of college while they're in high school and get an accelerated start. So when they go to college, they're already 1 year in and count as a sophomore, and then that's money that their parents are saved as well. So college core programming is available. We have our graduation pathways that include things like Project Lead the Way. We have the biomedical sciences pathway and certifications they can earn. We offer a variety of AP courses at the high school for college credit. Our counselors share college information about specific honors programs at each school, and then our guidance department also offers specific support. And so then the final slide I have, these are some items of programming that we were able to provide in high ability prior to COVID that we would like to see return. So these are things we've done previously, and we're hoping to get back up and going this year. An annual field trip. We bring all the elementary students of each grade level into one location. In the past, we brought in Louisville Science Center to do some special activities with them, creative arts, multiple different things that we can do, but it provides one challenge field trip idea. We've had higher parent involvement levels in the past, and we definitely want to get that back together. We had a quarterly newsletter that was going home to parents to inform them of what was going on in their child's high ability programming, parent information session meetings, especially at the high school level, to talk about college options and choices, and then we had parent involvement nights specific to high ability. So those are things that we'd like to bring. And then college visits, we took the students on tours of honors programs at some colleges around the state. Small group support at the elementary level would be an option. They are receiving that help right now from their STEM special para we would like to have a teacher incorporated into that process. One-on-one or small group support for college and career exploration at secondary. And then finally, our high ability coordinator in the past has done a lot of resource organization and professional development support for classroom teachers. So if they've asked for special supplies to teach their class or their students that they have, they've provided that. They've been the pathway to help the teacher get those materials. So those are some of the programming things that we'd like to see come back now post-COVID that we're able to do, and staffing will be a big part of that we'll talk about going forward. So as we replace that coordinator position, what that looks like and how they can help us to do that. So just wanted to give a brief update tonight on where we are with high ability in general.
Any additional conversation or questions for Nikki? Okay, again, that was an inform item. So we'll move down under support staff recommendations.
Yes. I have Sandy Jacobs. She's a current Jennings County High School custodian, but we're adding the crossing guard duty, so asking for a rate change for her. Asking for approval for Stacy Morris as a Brush Creek Elementary paraprofessional. Ronald Robbins as a Jennings County School Corporation bus driver. Rebecca Sohaki as the JCEC test proctor. Andrew Titus as the high school boys assistant soccer coach. And that should be Andrew Titus as the boys head soccer coach. I'm sorry, so it says assistant coach to head coach, so he is the head coach, I'm sorry. And then Jonathan Titus will be the assistant boys soccer coach. Jessica Wilkerson, we moved her from a classroom nurse to a school nurse, and her days increased from 180 to 185. And then Kennedy Vance is going to be a Scipio paraprofessional, asking for permission for those recommendations.
I'll accept a motion for those recommendations.
So,
Motion by Pat, do I have a second? Second by Travis, any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
And then next, we're asking for permission to post the Jennings County High School SPED Parapro.
So moved.
I have a motion by Pat, do I have a second? Second by Susan, any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Moving down under finances, Philip?
Yes, asking for approval for the following donations. Bodie Electric, $200 to the Graham Creek for STEM Club Days. Rebecca and Carl Ford, $100 to Middle School Nutrition Club. $40 each from the following that will go to the JCEC Career Fair. That is Harmon Construction, Stone Belt, Columbus Regional Hospital, and Shanna Wilson on behalf of Martin Rhett. And Betty Eggleston, $225 to the JCS Hope Food Program. And Cummins, $1,176.78 to JCS for STEM supplies.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve? Earl, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Tony, any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Under operations?
Yes, next I'm asking for approval for a route to change between Ron Hendershot and Kathy Schuler, taking effect on September 15th of 2022.
I have a motion by Travis. Do I have a second? Second by Chelsea. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. And then down under relations, Nikki?
Asking for approval of our annual MOU with Ivy Tech College so that we're able to provide dual credit opportunities.
Do I have a motion? A motion by Pat. Do I have a second? Second by Susan. Any discussion? All those in favor? 7-0. Which brings us down to other.
No other.
Nothing from Nikki. Anyone else? Okay, then I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Yeah, did you want to?
Yeah, I do want to discuss something under other, it's our policy about board staff relations. I brought to Amy's attention that I think we need to relook at that, and I think we've crafted some language that we want to consider.
Sure. So Travis called me the other day and just wanted to talk about policy 3112. This is the board staff communication policy. He would like some different language within that policy. So I'm gonna, I don't have it printed out, but I'm gonna kind of just discuss. This policy reads that the school board desires to maintain open channels of communication between itself and the staff. The basic line of communication, and there's a little bit of language change here, but should, however, follow the chain of command when possible. And then under A, staff communication to the board, the line that was stricken, which Travis is requesting that be removed from the policy, states all communication from staff members to the board of its committees shall be submitted through the superintendent. And the replacement language would state staff members are expected to follow the chain of command with job-related issues prior to contacting board members. And then an additional small paragraph, in the effort to maintain open communication, if for any reason the staff do not believe that the communication through the chain of command is the appropriate channel to discuss a problem, concern, or complaint, regardless of the reason, the staff member may present the issue directly to Human Resources or a board member. And that is what is being recommended as adding to that policy. So I think Travis has brought this up, and I think what we would like to do, or what, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but what Travis would like to do is send this language out so you all have the opportunity to review it and read it, and then we'll bring it back to them, discuss at the next board meeting.
Right.
Okay. Any additional discussion? Anyone else? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Pat. Do I have a second? Second by Travis.